and welcome back to my channel Aetherea. If you're new here, my name is Dina and I'm here to help you and guide you to make your own beautiful whimsical clothes. And in today's video I would like to show you how I made this cute muffin dress. I call it actually a muffin dress because the upper part here looks quite like a muffin. So I made this dress, but I also made a top version of it, as you can see here, which I'm literally wearing right now because I love it so much. And it really matches well with a pair of denim. And oh yeah, sorry, the back is almost the same, but instead of using eyelets, I actually use little loops to put the lacing through. That's the two main differences. So you can make a top or a dress. That's really depending on you or what you want to make. The steps are technically the same. The only thing is just the length of the bottom part. So the pattern is technically almost the same as the green dress that I upcycled from the bed sheet in one of my previous videos. I linked it right here if you want to have a look at it. But the main difference is that the green bedsheet dress, it was a silk skirt and it was sheared at the top, but on this one I have a gathered skirt and a gathered top with a belt. So technically it's the same steps, same everything. So technically it's a hacked pattern making of my own pattern. This dress and top again do not have any zippers. Everything is based on an elastic and lacing at the back because again I do not want to put so much work and effort with the zipper, and then at the end if I gain weight or lose weight it will not fit me anymore. So that is one of my main principles nowadays, that anything that I make I want to wear it later in the future. As usual, I would recommend for you to watch the whole video first, see what I'm doing, what skill level I used and what type of stitches as well, and you can then adapt it to your own style. Again, I'm just giving you a blueprint of the pattern and you can go ahead and make something that is more you. You can change the top, you can change the skirt, you can add sleeves. Yeah, do whatever you want with it. With that being said, happy sewing and good luck. I started off by taking my bust measurement. Just make sure the tape is straight and not sitting wonky on you. Then I measured how long I wanted the top portion to be. I put an elastic band under my bust as my guide. To get a good visual of the width of the belt, I put one elastic under my bust and one slightly above my waist. This also helped me to see from where the skirt will fall from. In the pattern making section I will say waist, but for me it was just above waist. Then we will also need to take the circumference of the above waist measurement. To figure out the armhole depth, take a piece of paper and sandwich it under your arm. Then use a pen to mark the sides of your arm. Once that's done, mark where you want your armhole to stop and then take your tape measure and measure to the marked points and write that number down. To get the middle of the side seam, measure the width of the points and divide it by 2. This will be your armhole width. Now that we have all the essential measurements, let's start drafting the pattern. We're gonna start with the front. First we're gonna draw up a simple rectangle which consists of the bust length, bust to waist length and your bust circumference. For the width I took quarter of my bust measurement. Also, on a side note, again, when I refer to waist here, for me it was above waistline because that is where I wanted the skirt to flow from. Of course you can go straight away to the waist if that is what you want, nothing changes here. Then create another box where you mark your underarm measurement, the halved one, and the length of the armhole. Take your above waist measurement and divide it by 4, then draw the line from the center front to the side seam. As you will notice, there will be a gap because our bodies go usually slimmer towards our waist, so hence the gap. This gap, however, will be divided in 2 because we want to distribute the extra amount into our bodice top. From the underarm point, draw a line to the half mark point of the waist. Then draw up a deep armhole curve using the box as your guide. Then separate the top from the belt. Since the top of the bodice will be gathered, you will need to take your bust measurement and multiply it by 2. Draw up a vertical line from the underarm with the extra measurement. From the center front, go down by approximately 1 cm to create more of a scooped neckline. After that, add your seam allowances. Now that we have the front, let's draft the back. Repeat the same steps as the front. The only difference here is that there won't be any armhole curve. We will only need the length of the armhole and draw a horizontal line from that point. This is the bust line. Repeat the same step with the waist circumference to find the extra amount that we will need to divide into the bodice. Divide the gap again in 2. Then find the middle point of that bust line and draw a vertical line down. From the underarm point, draw a line to the half marked point of the waist. Take the other half point and place it in the middle of the vertical line. From there, draw up the dart legs. I went ahead and reduced the dart length by 1.5 cm, and on the center back I also went in about 5 cm. I also removed everything that is above the horizontal line. The reason why I removed 5 cm is because I want to leave a gap for the lacing and shirring. You will see in the video later what I mean. To create the back lacing panel, I drew up an 8 cm width box that matches the length of the back panel. For the shirring, I drew up another box 30 cm in width and reduced it by 2 cm from the length of the back panel. Let's move on to the skirt. The skirt is super simple. I took the measurement of my bodice, including the 30 cm panel, and divided by 2 and then multiplied it by 3. Here is an overview of all the pattern pieces we just made. Don't forget to add the seam allowances. For the outer fabric, aka main fabric, these are the pieces you will need to cut out. And these pieces for the fusible fabric, and these pieces out of the facing fabric. I used the plain white fabric as my facing. Before you go ahead and start working on the expensive fabric, do a mock-up first. This will help you see how the pieces will attach together and of course if the fitting is to your liking. Once you're happy with the pattern, put your pattern pieces on the main fabric and start tracing. I added my seam allowances on the fabric. I find it quite easy to do it nowadays. I feel like I have more control and I feel like I'm more accurate. Important step here to be more accurate, I marked my half of the bodice, belt and later the skirt by snipping a small piece out. This will help me later with the gathering of the fabrics. To give the belt more structure, I added fusible fabric by ironing it on the outer fabric. The same step goes for the back pieces as well. To attach the bodice to the belt, I had to first gather the bottom of the top using a gathering stitch. To attach the bodice, I first pinned the middle and then the side seams. This helped me to distribute the gatherings evenly. Once the belt is attached to the top, I pinned the back panels. Before that, I of course stitched the back dots together. Repeat the same steps for the lining and then pin the top together, wrong sides facing each other. Then again use the gathering stitch to gather now the top part. Moving on to the lacing and back shirring. First, let's start with the back shirring. Take the panel and iron the hem of the top first. Then using my elastic thread, I used my footer as a guide and shirred it. Once that is done, I took my lacing panel and ironed it in half. Now that I had all my back pieces ready, it was time to assemble the complete top. First, I pinned the lacing panel to the outer fabric. I made sure that the raw edges of the lacing panel is pinned to the outer fabric side seam. Then, taking the shirred panel and pin it to the rest of the layers. Technically, what I've done here is I sandwiched the lace and the shirred panel between the back panels. Repeat the same step on the other side. So here is the back and here's the lining. To do the channels for the boning, what you're gonna do is just take this edge and with your footer just go 1 centimeter, because for me this is how much I need to do the boning. So I'm just gonna stitch along here, and of course we're gonna have another channel which is gonna be here. That's what I'm gonna do now. In the middle of the lacing panel, I marked my guide points where the eyelets will be. To transfer the guides, I used my awl and punched through the guides. After that, I took a hole puncher to create the right holes for the eyelets. So for the skirt, the idea was to create a godette skirt, but it didn't really match with the top. It felt a bit too much and out of sync, so I'm gonna create a basic gathered skirt. So in order to do this, here's my fabric. I folded it in half and timed it I think by 3 times and then by 2, and then that gives me 138 centimeters. So I'm gonna cut through this line and then half it again, so I have 200 something centimeter to gather and attach to the bodice. So this is what I'm gonna do now. Yeah, I decided to go for a clean French seam here. It means that I first stitch the seams wrong side facing each other, then cut away some of the excess fabric, ironing the seam in one side, and then flip the fabric the other way around to encase the raw edges. For the skirt, I already start gathering the skirt from the top, and what I've done, maybe that's a really good tip for you, I marked my half before gathering. So I snipped a bit of fabric so I know this is my half, then obviously I have my side seam, and for the gathering I always start like from here to the other half, to the other side, and then again from here. So I'm not gathering the whole skirt at the same time because that will be too much work and I will not have control of the gathering and the way I'm gonna attach it to the bodice. So I rather do it like in 2 steps, so one from here to the other side seam, and then from this for the back, technically the back side seams, one seam to the other, and then start gathering it. Also mark your other half on the back skirt as well, because I've done that with the back as well, as you can see here. Once the main fabric is attached to the bodice, I then repeated the same with the lining. For the lining, instead of multiplying the width by 3, I multiplied it by 2 because I didn't want to make it more puffy as it already was. Almost done with a dress, or top if you're making one. We still have to work on the raw edges of the bodice and to create the straps. And to do that, I made some bias tape and pinned it on the inside of the garment, first following the curve and then the back along the armhole. Once done, I rolled over the bias tape and pinned it in place, continuing until I created the straps as well, then stitched the strap to the back. Since I didn't want the stitches to show at the front and on the armhole and the back, I decided to finish the bias tape by hand using invisible stitch. Since the gatherings are quite bulky and adding bias tape around would only create more bulkiness, I finished the edges using an overlock machine. It removed the bulkiness and gave me a neat finished look on the inside. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this gorgeous dress. If you're interested in more sewing projects like this, then hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because I have already planned more videos like this. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and drop any questions or comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.